Man, it's been a while since I opened that door. Oh yeah, script. 5 years ago, I was a guy blowing time away playing Doom mods, and I made a video about them so I'd feel productive. Today, I'm a guy blowing time away playing Doom mods, and I'm making this video so I feel productive about it. The catch is that these are the same mods. All of the mods I mentioned in that initial video have either been updated or have had sequels, showing how active the Doom modding community is despite being founded in the Paleolithic age. So like before, these are all total conversions, and I'll bring up whether they have their own executable, or will require Doom 2, or Free Doom 2. Here's my catchphrase. Sources in the description. I've also made a tutorial for GZ Doom if you need help. Welcome to Reelism 2, Early Access Edition. This will require Doom 2 or Free Doom 2. Reelism 2 is quite similar to the original, but improves in many small ways. The first, the concept. Reelism is a timed wave survival mod. At the start of every round, a slot machine rolls that gives you 3 modifiers for the round. One's a wild card, one determines enemies, and the last determines your arsenal. Things could just get foggy, or you become a literal tank. Reelism is frantic, it plays like how the Turtles in Time OST sounds. There's a decent variety here, and while the rules aren't always fair, the game is always entertaining. This is definitely early access. There's not a lot of maps and not a lot of modifiers relative to the original. There is a new hub world that lets you stock up on items before being grinded up again. Playing Reelism 2, you start to realize that this is just a really good idea. Like, not just for a Doom mod, but as a game in general. All it needs is to be finished. Despite the early access state, out of all the mods I'm going to talk about, this is the one I played the most. For 2 months, I'd come home every day after work and play this for like an hour. It's so cheerful and carefree. Because you aren't competing against anyone and there's so much randomness, failure doesn't really sting. You can't take it seriously. Reelism 2, along with the original, was developed by the Kinsey. Well, actually, they're developed by 300 Pounds, but Kinsey is the one most often credited. More than a manager, less than a god, I guess. The Kinsey is also responsible for MetaDoom, a fantastic gameplay mod that attempts to combine the weapons and gameplay mechanics of all the Doom games in the original. They also run the great It Runs Doom blog. You can run on a bootloader? I thought the Porsche was weird. Get psyched for Reelism 2, and remember to support those that bring you these great games. As far as I'm concerned, this is canon. In yonder times, I told you about Doom, the Golden Souls. It doesn't say Super Mario Doom, but it's basically Super Mario Doom. The stinger back then was that there was an available demo for the Golden Souls 2. What you just saw was its intro. It will require Doom 2 or Free Doom 2. In retrospect, the original Golden Souls feels kinda rough. All the ideas are there, but the execution leaves something to be desired. The Golden Souls 2 cleans that up. Aesthetically, the game looks sharper, the weapons look and sound more impactful. The level design is more interesting, there's a shop, and a nice Super Mario World themed world map. Much of the aesthetic is from Mario, but don't take this as Mario but first person. It is truly a Mario meets Doom situation. While the art and platforming focus is lifted or inspired by Mario, the gameplay is otherwise recognizably Doom. You've still got large levels with alternate paths to get lost in, frantic firefights, the enemies are primarily standard Doom fare, and of course this excellent super shotgun. You should really give this one a try. But we aren't done yet. Just like before, coincidentally, there is now a demo for the Golden Souls 3. This one is very unfinished, but I'm loving the direction it's going in. The game looks even better now. The key detail is the weapons. Before, yeah, there was that cool super shotgun and the trumpet rocket launcher, but the assault rifle was just a typical assault rifle. Now it's thematically correct. There's a hub in 2 levels. I think it should be pretty obvious by the HUD and what you're seeing that this looks even better than the second mod. This truly does feel like the culmination of this direction. We've moved from Super Mario World to Super Mario 64. You get a mission select screen upon entering levels that can significantly change what happens in the world. The platforming is improved most of all. You can now both wall jump and crouch long jump. Unless set, pits are no longer instant kills either, thus you don't feel compelled to mash your F6 key as much anymore. I want to give particular praise to the second level, Serenity Shrine. Aesthetically, this is one of the best maps I've ever seen in the Doom engine, and I've seen a lot of maps. The floating lanterns, the faux Japanese wall art, and the white-red color palette make for an excellent pastiche of a mystical shrine. You really need to try this one out. All 3 Golden Souls mods were made by Andrea Gori, going by Batandi in-game. Andrea's most famous project is Castlevania Simon's Destiny. It does basically the same thing as Golden Souls, but with Castlevania instead of Mario. I feel happy to see how far he's come. Graphically speaking, I don't think we've seen his best work yet. He recently remade PT in the GZ Doom engine, and it looks great! He uploaded a video teaser for the next Golden Souls level, Sea Salt Harbor. Remarkably, I think it's the best looking one so far. The only criticism I can think of is maybe add more in the distance. I am sincerely looking forward to the full release of the Golden Souls 3, and I suggest you subscribe to his YouTube channel and get just as excited. Look, it's been 5 years. Maybe they really did make this a Doom mod. Okay, alright, the real one. It's finally finished. This is Hocus Pocus Doom. It is a 3D Doom mod recreation of the 90s PC platformer Hocus Pocus. It needs Doom 2 or Free Doom 2. If you dropped this to 4x3, cut the resolution and lowered the audio quality, then you told me this was a 90s FPS I didn't know about, I'd believe you. Hocus Pocus Doom is simple. You have one default attack, a lightning bolt, and each lightning bolt you collect in the stage makes the fire rate faster. There's also temporary bonuses you can find that change up this attack, and a few items on top of that. The level design is more labyrinthian, and there's more puzzles than Doom, but nothing particularly frustrating. It's a collectathon. There's plenty of gold to swipe, and the goal of each level is to grab all the purple magical orbs. When you've done all this, regardless of order, the level is over. The most interesting thing here is the aesthetic. There's something unmistakably 90s about all this. From my increasingly old perspective, it feels nostalgic, kinda. I never played Hocus Pocus back then, but if you had a cauldron brewing a combination of the first Bejeweled, Dragon Tales, and that one edutainment game about climbing a mountain, you'd get something like this. The game is now complete. What you saw last time was just a demo. There's now 4 full episodes. It does take a few hours to beat it. Personally, if you're someone looking for a bit more of a Doom run-and-gun experience, I jump straight into the 3rd or 4th episodes. They're much more action-oriented and there's not much of a plot, so you don't have to worry about spoilers. Hocus Pocus Doom was a labor of love by MDV himself. Whoops, I screwed up, and now I have to record new lines, and I got rid of my old microphone. Well anyways, Hocus Pocus Doom was a labor of love by James Allison, also going by RF, or Ravage, or Ravage Fox. James is primarily known in the mapping community, having contributed to many collaborative projects in the past and present. His most recent contribution to the Abyssal speed mapping sessions came out in just July of this year. While it's a lot more vanilla technically without, all the total conversion stuff, there's some crazy stuff in there. James has talent, and for the whopping price of free, it doesn't get much better than this. What do you get when you cross Doom with preschool geometry? The Adventures of Square. This is and has been a Doom total conversion I really like. It also doesn't require Doom 2 or Free Doom 2. You play a square, the squarest square, defending the other squares from the circles. It's really baby logic, but the game is anything but. Gameplay is very comparable to the original Doom. The weapons are quite similar, but everything is some form of paint gun. For example, the paint shotgun is fantastic, and the Uzi takes the place of the plasma rifle. Although starting in a village, the Adventures of Square quickly changes to a combination of bright primary colors clashing with gray industrial ones. This really reminds me of... crap, what was it? Oh yeah, Junkbot. Remember that old Lego Flash game? I loved that thing. Go play it. I'm like the dark nostalgia critic. I remember it, so you have to. I'm just kidding, the nostalgia critic is the dark nostalgia critic. The big change from last time is the addition of the second episode. Galactic lunacy takes Square to space and the moon, appropriately made out of cheese. There's a decent lack of gravity up here, allowing for more vertical combat than Doom ever did. The Adventures of Square is so simple, it just works. It doesn't deviate a ton from Doom, so if you're looking for G-rated Doom, this is it. Better than Chex Quest for sure, and you can get it for free instead of with some serial debatable quality. The Adventures of Square was made by Big Brick. This includes a lot of people, but I want to specifically highlight creative director James Paddock. James has a super professional website, makes Doom WAD reviews, but most of all, he's a composer. Not too shabby of one too. Likely most famously, he contributed MIDI tracks to Proteus, a game I'd like to talk about someday. And he's involved with Apogee too, as they continue to update and re-release their old games. He just put out the music for Secret Agent HD. I've listened to some of his stuff and I like it. And I hope he can climb the boomer shooter ladder like Andrew Hulshult did. While James is quite active, unfortunately the Adventures of Square hasn't been updated in years. It doesn't seem abandoned, just pushed to the side. Definitely looking forward to the inevitable episode 3. Welcome back to Sonic Robo Blast 2. I admit, I was a bit mean calling all of their Sonic fan games bad. That's unfair. They just tend to look bad in comparison to this. Also, SRB2 does not require Doom 2 or Free Doom 2. Calling Sonic Robo Blast 2 a Doom mod sounds like a fun fact. It has a fan base and community of its own, not to mention its own mods. There's a ton of them. Explanation though. SRB2 is a 3D platformer in the style of the Genesis, or Mega Drive, Sonic games. I know, it's 3D, not exactly spot on, yet in a lot of ways it feels more authentic to the classic Sonic experience than any 3D Sonic game Sega has birthed prematurely. If you're wondering what Sonic Robo Blast 1 looked like, well... Are you happy? To be fair, fan gaming in the 90s was rough. Yeah, 1998. The sequel started off looking like this too. Sonic Robo Blast 2 is now a game that has been in development for 23 years, and they haven't been slacking. A lot has changed since the last time I covered this game. What you saw in the last video was version 2.1.15. It is now on version 2.2.9, and yes, I'm pretty sure they used all the decimals in between. Adding on to those great 3D models you saw earlier, they've updated all the music, added new stages, added new playable characters, including my boy, and overhauled the modding system. It borderline feels like a different game. Here's a version of Sonic 06 modded in. Looks rough, but somehow the bootleg sounds cleaner than the original. The game is very fast-paced, it goes without saying. Each character plays remarkably different, and if you want baby mode like me, I suggest picking Tails. In huge environments like this, it helps to be able to fly. Sonic is technically the fastest though. Despite your character choice, the game is relatively fair, other than this stupid lava special stage! I can't go without mentioning Sonic Robo Blast 2 card. It blew up in a big way a bit ago, and depending on your disposition, this might just be the best Sonic racing game. It doesn't get a spot here, but I might talk about it someday. Sonic Robo Blast 2 was developed by Sonic Team Jr. An interview with Gizmodo from 2016 states that people come and go from the team and that there's usually about 5 to 10 people working on the game at any one time. The main contact for that interview was mostly level designer Rob Tisdale. I found his YouTube channel, and it only has one video. From a cursory glance, it seems that most of the individuals on this project do not work on other stuff in the Doom community. Could be wrong though. The credits are rather long after all. If you're interested in the history of Sonic Robo Blast 2, I cannot possibly recommend enough the channel Dylan Dude. He's done historical compilations of all the versions the levels have gone through, and it's very fascinating to see. If I had anything to add, since the game is technically still in development, my little critique is that I think the walls could use a bit more detail at times. In stages like Eggman Castle, it isn't very noticeable, but any stage that looks like a huge canyon, the large repeating textures don't look great. That's all I got though. This stuff is great and free. The most impressive thing about Sonic Robo Blast 2 is that it managed to create a community all to itself. And despite literally being the Sonic fanbase, it all seems pretty calm. I can't wait for the final release. Here we are again. Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch. This game almost doesn't feel real to me. It's like too legit. The art is just so spot on. Like the last two, it doesn't require Doom 2 or Free Doom 2. Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch is an arena shooter with Mega Man flair. You ever played a single player from Quake 3? It's that. But over the years and with updates, it's managed to be a lot more. You start out in Dr. Light's house. This is the hub, and despite the presence of fan characters, it just looks so perfect. I can't fathom Capcom ever making a game like this on their own, yet this is exceptionally professional. Despite much different hardware and presentation, the color palettes, the animations, the blocky, semi-robotic art style from the 8-bit Mega Man games is all here. Looks a little janky from above, but hey, that's Doom for ya. The gameplay is what you would expect. You go into a level, find the good weapons, and then kill each other until it's over. Yet, over the years, MM8BD has added cutscenes and boss battles. The one against the Yellow Devil is almost as infuriating as the original. You start with levels inspired by Mega Man 1 and go up from there. As of the latest update, with a total development of 10 years, it has reached Mega Man 10. It's all rather good. It's nice to stop and look around, but I assure you this is a very fast-paced game. On the game director's YouTube channel, you can find a good example of this in the community trailer. In addition to the obvious arena combat, you can go online and participate in a Gmod Tower-esque experience, go fishing, and fight Morshu. Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch was made by an incredibly large and talented team, one that I unfortunately don't have the time to go into detail with. I want to mention that director again though, Cutman Mike. His gamography is primarily a Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch, but just this year he put out a mod called Corruption Cards, which adds a randomized effect to each level of Doom. It's not the same, yet I can't be helped being reminded of Reelism. The primary impetus for this video was that, I like Doom. But secondarily it was to show everyone with a PC, or Android maybe, that you can have a ton of fun without spending a dime past hardware. At this point, GZ Doom will run on any potato that supports OpenGL, which is most potatoes, and even if you don't have an internet connection, a homie with a flash drive could get you all this stuff for free. The exception being Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch's multiplayer if you're into that. Most importantly, it's all free. Like, it's truly free. Sure, some of them technically require Doom, but free Doom will cover that. No microtransactions either. There is no catch. It's all free and legitimately great content. It has now been about 28 years since Doom originally came out. Think back to all I covered here. This community is showing no signs of stopping, so please, try these out and stay tuned. And that's that. So, quick plug here at the end, second channel, short Devil May Cry videos going up there. I also put a short tutorial on how to use GZ Doom up on this channel in case you've had any issues running any of the games I mentioned. Big Devil May Cry video coming up soon, along with other stuff. Doom as well. As usual, and forever, thanks for watching. Means a lot. Good night.